The snow was falling, and the cat's fur was stiffly pointed with it, but he was imperturbable. He sat crouched, ready for the death spring, as he had sat for hours. It was night, but that made no differences. All times were as one to the cat when he was in wait for prey. Then, too, he was under no constraint of human will, for he was living alone that winter. Nowhere n- in the nowhere in the world was any voice calling him, or no hearth was there a waiting dish. He was quite free, except for his own desires, which tyrannized over him when unsatisfied as now. The cat was very hungry, almost famished in fact. For days the weather had very bitter, and the cat's long hunt had availed him nothing. But he waited with the inconceivable patience and persistency of his race. Besides, he was certain. The cat was a creature of absolute convictions, and his faith in his deduction never wavered. The rabbit had gone in there between those low hung pine bough. The cat had seen her enter, so he sat down and waited, and he waited still in the white night, listening angrily to the north wind starting in the upper heights of the mountain with distant scream, then swelling into an awful crescendo of rage and soaping down with furious white wings of snow like a flock of fierce eagles into valleys and ravines. The cat was on the side of a mountain on a wooded terrace. Above him, a few feet away toward the rock, ascent as steep as the wall of a cathedral. He had often looked with wonder at the rock and mewed bitterly and resentfully, as man does in the face of forbidding providence. At this left was sheer precipice. Behind him was the frozen perpendicular wall of a mountain stream. Before him was the way to his home. When the rabbit came out, she was trapped. Her little cloven feet could not scale such unbroken steps. So the cat waited, the tangle of trees and bushes clinging to the mountainside with a stern clutch of roots, the prostrate trunks and branches, the vines embracing everything with strong knots and coils of growth, had a curious effect as of things which had whirled for ages in a current of raging water, only it was not water but wind, which had dispersed everything in circling lines of yielding to its fiercest points of onset. It was as if ice needles pricked his skin through his beautiful thick fur, but he never faltered and never once cried. He had nothing to gain from crying and everything to lose. The rabbit would hear him cry and know he was waiting. Sir, you are not audible.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Well read. Okay. Now, this passage is basically like, it is a very kind of giving a very lonely, all by himself kind of. They have even given genders. They have said the cat is a male and the rabbit is female. Right. It is revealing a lot of like melancholy. Okay. Melancholy. In English is a word which means like sadness. Don't you feel like reading this entire passage? It's like this cat sitting all alone on a roof and waiting. It's like there's a very famous play. It's called Waiting for Godot. Okay, if you get a chance, Google it. Waiting for Godot is about like these two people. They are sitting there, and the whole play is these two people are sitting and they're waiting for some unknown person called Godot. The whole play. They're just sitting over there and they're waiting. Okay, this entire passage starts with the cat waiting, it ends with the cat waiting. Okay, and has to suffer all kind of troubles, like it can't even make a noise in the middle of winter simply because it is waiting for its prey. Okay, it doesn't have a human to help, it doesn't have a home, it doesn't have anything. It only has the hope that it will be able to catch this rabbit if it keeps quiet, bearing all the hardships and just wait. Okay, so this is like just a beautiful English literature passage. If at all you're interested in reading, I quite enjoyed reading it. It kind of propelled me into that place. I felt like I could see the cat in front of me sitting on that tower and waiting for the rabbit. Like that is the mark of a good writer. If they can actually like create a image in front of your eyes. Okay. Now, question number 11. Okay, this is a bit, it's not tough, but maybe you all don't understand. Similar to the words providence and crescendo. If you open the dictionary and you see, providence has many different meanings. Okay, one will be like even fortuitousness. Fortuitousness means like by luck. Okay, providence. Like I didn't have anything to eat, but by providence, my friend came and gave me some food. Exactly when just by chance, like my friend was passing by and they said, "Hey, you want some food? I've got some extra food with me. I just packed some McD's. Here you go. Here are 2 McAloo Tikki burgers." Providence, right? That is called providence. Crescendo is like even in music it's used. Crescendo is the highest part. Okay, absolutely. So like let's say like the drummers were playing a beat and finally they reached a crescendo. When the celebrity was about to arrive, when the groom was about to arrive. Then the drummers reached a crescendo. Okay, but let us look at the passage now. Providence in the passage. Where is it written? Anyone?
So last 11th line.
So here's crescendo 1. Providence is above.
So here
So
only.
11th line, bottom, from bottom, 11th
Here
line.
we go. Providence.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's read over here. The cat had seen her enter, so he sat down and waited, etc., etc. Then swelling into the upper heights of the mountains with distant screams. What it's talking about, the crescendo is talking about the wind. The wind was reaching a crescendo. Like slowly, slowly, there was screaming of the wind, and the wind suddenly reached a crescendo. Okay, like it was howling and making a lot of noise. Okay, so it reached a crescendo, and he often looked at with wonder at the rock and meowed. Meowed means like how a cat makes a noise, right? Meow. So meowed is the word which we use to describe a sound. It is called onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia means sound. Okay, any sound related word like the doorbell rang, ding dong. Okay, ding dong or any other word which is denoting the exact sound. Okay, that is called onomatopoeia. Okay, so resentfully as man does in the face of a forbidding providence. Now, providence can be good and providence can be bad also, right? By chance, what happened is that like, I was feeling very hungry and my friend came by and I said, "Hey, bro, by any chance, do you have any food?" And he said, "Oh, I just went to McD's. Like, if you had told me, I would have packed something for you." That's providence. That also is providence, right? Luck can be good luck also, luck can be bad luck also. Okay, so in this case, when they are saying that meowed bitterly and resentfully means like when you resent something, you hate something. Okay, resentfully as man does in the face of forbidding providence. So obviously, if you see the whole thing, it's talking about the cat not being able to reach the rabbit because of a rock that was very, very high. Okay, so it could not actually reach that place. So it looked at the rock so angrily, just like a person, not man. I don't know why they keep using this word man everywhere. Right? Man doesn't. What is the meaning of man does? Why not woman does? Right? Why not a person of another gender rather than male and female does? This word man is very wrong. It gives a wrong image in the mind. Okay, whenever you read man, read it as woman. Why not? Why not woman, right? Till they learn to correct these things, you have to correct it in your own mind. Okay, at least we can have hygiene in our own mind, right? If we cannot have hygiene around us. Okay, so whenever I read the word man, I change it to woman in my mind. Okay, he had often looked with wonder at the rock and meowed bitterly and resentfully as woman does in the face of a forbidden providence. So suppose I did not get the McDonald's, obviously I would be very upset with my luck, right? I would be upset with providence. So here they are saying that the cat was looking at the rock with the same hatred that I would have looked at my luck. if it had not worked in my favor. Did you understand? This is called a simile. This is called an analogy when you're comparing two things. So the author is making an analogy between the cat looking at the rock and a person, a man or a woman looking at that, looking at their own bad luck. Okay. So in this case, when you look at the word providence, it relates to the word nemesis. Nemesis means enemy. Okay. Your enemy is called your nemesis. Okay. Like you can say Harry Potter's nemesis was Voldemort, right? And so many other examples, right? So here providence is being used in a way that something you hate or your worst enemy, that is your nemesis. Okay. And crescendo, of course, apex. Apex means highest. Even if you see Supreme Court is referred to as apex court. Why apex court? Because it's the highest court. Okay. If you look at predators, then the highest predator is called apex predator because there's no one above it. Okay. For example, if you look at a cat eats a rat. Okay. Then dog eats a cat. Okay. But dog can be eaten by tiger and no one can eat a tiger. Okay. That is why tiger is called the apex predator. All right. Same way, apex means the highest. So crescendo means highest. Like I told you, the wind sound was coming higher and higher and higher till it reached the crescendo, which means till it reached the apex. That is why the words which are synonymous to providence and crescendo are nemesis and apex. Now, next, who wants to answer? Okay, let us give Ananya a chance. Go ahead.
Okay. So the answer is C, simile and personification. I can't tell the exact line, but to directly quote, the simile should be white wings of snow like a flock of fierce eagles, and the personification would be the cat was a creature of absolute conviction and his faith in his deductions never wavered. So similarly, there are a lot of examples of personification in the passage.
Okay, so these are very, very important. Each and every one of these concepts are very, very important. Okay, like whether you Google them or not, I don't know. I think you should, but let me at least tell you a little bit of my understanding of what they mean. Okay, irony, first of all. Irony is something which is like just, you know, like I'll give you an example of irony. Like Donald Trump always said that, there's no need to wear a mask. And then finally, he ended up getting coronavirus. That's so ironic. The same person who said that, oh, nothing can happen and this, that, he only ended up getting coronavirus. That's irony. Okay. Sarcasm. Sarcasm is like, yeah, Donald Trump is the smartest guy on the planet. That's called sarcasm. Like, I'm not actually saying that. I'm saying in a mocking way, right? That, oh my God, he's so smart. You know, he went and got coronavirus after telling everyone not to wear a mask. That's so intelligent. That's sarcasm. I'm not being serious. I'm mocking him by saying that. Okay. Alliteration. Alliteration, again, it's like referring to the same word used 3 times, like KKK. Okay, does anyone know full form of KKK?
Klux Klan.
Ku Klux Klan. What is Ku Klux Klan? Anyone knows?
White
It's a
supremacy.
Movement of white people against black people.
It's a movement of white people. Can you relate somehow movement of white people, white supremacy, to the first debate
Against
between
black
Donald
people.
Trump? Sorry?
Okay.
Obviously against black people. No, I'm saying there are no Indians there, so they are only discriminating against black people only. Yeah, mostly. Now, of course, they discriminate against everybody who is not white. Okay, but like, and all white people are not like that. Okay, that also I should tell you. Like, I have some lovely friends, from all across the world, and they are very, very nice people. So, of course, there are some elements in every part of the world, right? Even in India, you will find some extreme elements. Okay, but that doesn't represent everybody. But in the debate, basically what happened is that the moderator, Donald Trump also, like, he supports these groups. He doesn't denounce them. So the moderator of the debate actually asked that, are you willing to tell the, white supremacists to stand down? So he says, like, just tell me, what do you want me to say? He said, like, tell them to stand down. So he says, Proud Boys, stay back and, stand back. Okay, and stand by. He didn't say stand down. And Proud Boys is a group of white supremacists, just like KKK. Okay, so he didn't tell them to stand down, like to stop doing it. He told them stand by, like when the time comes, attack, right? So these are very, very interesting and like, controversial things that are going on right now in the world around you. And I mean, if at all you have any sort of like curiosity, You should really, get into it. It's a lot of fun. Now, pun, of course, like I'm playing on words. I'm sure all of you know what a pun is. I'm not going to get into that. Simile, like you said, like something. It is like this, like that. It is a simile. Okay, comparing something to something else. Personification, like you said, the cat. Cat has been treated like a person. Okay. Metaphor means like it's a metaphor for something else. So like I'll give you an example. I read this recently. When there's something called animal glue. Animal glue is a kind of glue or resin that is made out of animals. Okay, usually like from the hides of horses. Okay, dead horses. Okay, and of course it is used for industrial purposes, like when you're making paper, then it is used for like laying the base of that sizing and everything, those kind of things. Okay, so basically when when a horse is like pretty much done with all its like normal work, whatever it was made, they would put down the horse. Put down the horse again, it would mean like shoot the horse, kill the horse, and then use it for making animal glue. So when you say like when you say that the horse has been sent to the glue factory, it means you have shot the horse. Okay, in other words, you can also say put down. Okay, put down means like you have shot it. So this is a metaphor. Metaphor is a way of saying something else in a certain way. So if you are saying, like I said, sending horse to glue factory, actually what you are saying is that you have shot it. Okay, that's a metaphor. And onomatopoeia is something which sounds like something else. Okay, so onomatopoeia is again like I think I already discussed onomatopoeia, didn't I?
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
meow sound.
Right, yeah, so that's on. I discussed it while we were talking about the package. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So I think out of all these, it's clear that what we're talking about right now is simile and personification. But I felt that it's important that you all should know all these things, because these are the concepts that are asked basically in English comprehension portion, and they're beautifully asked everything over here only. So in one place, I have been able to explain to you all the different. These are called literary devices. Okay, literary devices. All right, and most of the literary devices have been used over here as options. So you can like this is like a very concise primer to the English comprehension right here. Question number 12. Okay. Now next 13.
So the answer of 13th question should be C, a never-ending wait, because it is, as you said, and the whole passage revolves around the cat's wait for the rabbit. And even in
Till
the
the
second,
end of the passage, yeah, go on.
so in the second line, it is stated that all times as were as one to the cat when he was in wait for the prey, and the author in the end ends with the rabbit would hear him cry and know he was waiting.
Right. Till the end of the passage, the cat is still waiting. Okay. So he started with the waiting and ended with the waiting. The cat is still waiting now also, I feel. While we are talking, the cat is waiting over there. Okay. So definitely, and motive is such a beautiful word. Motive, like, for example, if you say in Taj Mahal, if you have ever been to Taj Mahal, how many of you have gone to Taj Mahal? No one has gone to Taj Mahal also. Very sad. You go to Taj Mahal at least. Yeah, it's a wonder of world that's in India. Like, like try and visit that place. Okay, one person has gone to Taj Mahal. Okay, so Taj Mahal, basically, if you go, there's beautiful lettering all around, like on the marble. Those are called motifs. Okay, of there are lotuses which are inlaid into the marble, this, that. And like the thing about Taj Mahal is like, if you look at the from bottom to top, the lettering looks to be the same size. But if you actually measure, the lettering on top gets progressively larger and larger, because like as it is further away from the human eye, of course, like normally the same size would have looked much smaller looking at the top. So they've made the lettering larger and larger so that the whole thing looks to be the same size. It's an optical illusion, while actually the lettering on the top, that's actually larger in size than the bottom. All right. And these kind of letterings, these kind of like designs with lotuses and other flowers inlaid into the thing are also called motifs. Okay, so in this way over here, motif is being used as like something which has been inlaid into the passage. All right, it's like this is the motif of the passage. This is like fundamentally ingrained into the passage, just like lettering on Taj Mahal. Can you imagine Taj Mahal without the lettering? Similarly, you cannot imagine this passage without the feeling of loneliness that the cat is feeling, right? Okay, next. Okay. Anyone else apart from Shantanu? But because Shantanu and I can have a private class later also, like 1-to-1, right? If only he and I are going to talk. Okay, John, go ahead.
So the line quoted here says that the cat was under no constraint of human will because he was living alone. The answer can be either B or C, I feel, because B says they had no association with human beings and C is saying it's lonely. Just both
Actually,
said
like
in the
it is
sentence.
not only just because it's saying he was no constraint of human will. Like it's not meaning just no human beings. Like why he's mentioning that no human will? Because he's totally alone. He's totally like we mentioned in previous one. The motive is the loneliness. Okay, so
So,
he's
but
trying to say,
just
yeah,
because he says that he's living alone doesn't mean that he's lonely, right? Lonely has another meaning, right? Like alone in a sad way.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So if you're seeing the whole passage, it is talking about sadness, isn't it? Like his beautiful fur would be getting affected by the snow and this and that, but he had no home to go to. The reason why the humans are important, I'll show you over here. Okay. He was under no constraint, for he was living alone that winter. Nowhere in the world was any voice calling him, or no hearth was a waiting dish. Do you think he cares about human beings? No, he cares about the warmth of like somebody waiting for him. Like, when you are feeling down or sad, your parents are there. Maybe if you're living at home, then, you can go and talk to your parents. If you're not living at home, then you can give them a call. If you need to go and visit them, at home there's a warm meal waiting for you. Right. So it's not just your parents. It could be your relatives. It could be your friends. It could be anyone. Right. It could even be your pet. Right. Somewhere where you feel like home, somewhere you feel loved, somewhere you feel like somebody is calling you and wanting you over there. Right. Like on your festival seasons and all, you feel like going to your loved ones. Why? Because you feel like, okay, there's somebody who cares about you, somebody who wants you. So when they say that he was under no constraint of human will, for he was living alone that winter, there's also written, nowhere in the world was any voice calling him. No hearth was there a waiting dish. Waiting dish means a cat bowl, right, with food in it. So nobody was there to serve him the food and say, here, you eat. If any of you have a pet cat, dog, rabbit, whatever it is, you must be feeding it, right, in a bowl. So always the animal knows, the pet knows that, okay, I have somebody who loves me. I have a human, I have a master, I have a owner, and they will always have a warm dish of food waiting for me. Okay, so that is the feeling which is missing here. So the feeling that is missing here is not the human connection. The feeling is being missing. The feeling that is being missed is the feeling of love, isn't it? The feeling of being wanted, the feeling of being needed, the feeling of any voice calling that person, right? That's why they are saying
Yes,
that
sir.
when you don't have that feeling, then you feel loneliness. Right.
Yes, sir.
It's not just about associating with human beings. The reason why it's not like cats love human beings. If cats only love those humans who love them back, right? Who care for them, who give them food, who treat them nicely. They only care for their owners. They don't care for all the human beings in the world. Okay. So it's not just that there was no human, so I'm missing human. There's no association of human beings. No, you have to understand the implication of that. The implication of no association of human beings was lonely.
Yes, sir.
Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
And if you don't agree, also see, ultimately it is English, right? English is subject to debate and discussion. Like maybe you are right, maybe I'm wrong, maybe consortium is right,
No,
maybe
sir.
you are wrong. Who knows, right?
If we read in
These
that
are no, maybe
context,
this,
what you said is right.
yeah, maybe this question, fine, I explained and you agreed. In one another question, you had some point and I agreed with you, right? Because see, this is English, yeah. This is not GK. Like who is Prime Minister of India? There's no
Yes, sir.
discussion on that. It's not Rahul Gandhi. Everyone knows that, right? But here, obviously, yeah, it's a matter of discussion. Like you will find, like even professors with cigar in their hand. Debating and discussing the meaning of a particular, like I remember one instance where like somebody was saying like there was in a short story, it was written that the artist's curtains were blue. So then the teacher was saying like the blue color of the curtain, represents the loneliness inside the author's soul. I said it was just the curtains were blue, man. It's nothing more than that, right? It's just that the curtains were blue. Why is everything? It's got to be some hidden meaning over there. But that's English, right? That's English. Anything can be interpreted
sir.
in many different ways, right? Okay. So final question for this one.
So in this 15th question, the first line itself says that the cat never cried. So it shows the resilient nature of the cat, that that the cat has the capacity to bounce back from the difficult times. The answer is
Yes.
option C, resilient.
Good. Resilient, you must have seen in one passage above also they had asked, does it
Yes,
mean
yes,
toughness or flexibility? For some reason, they love this word in this exam. So it's good for those who know the meaning. Reflective means like, kind of contemplative or like introspective, like, oh, am I doing good? Am I doing bad? Those are called reflective. Apologetic means like you're feeling sorry, like, I'm so sorry. I'm apologetic for having hurt you, right? Frustrated, of course, everyone knows what you all were after the CLAT exam. And resilient is what you all are now. Because even after that, you all are coming and studying and preparing for 2021. That makes you all resilient. Okay, good. Now,